Dr. Kjell Lindgren will visit space for the first time as a member of the International Space Station's Expedition 4445 crew. With a doctorate of medicine from the University of Colorado, Kjell is board certified in emergency and aerospace medicine. He was serving as the deputy flight surgeon for STS-130 and Expedition 24 when he was selected to join the astronaut corps in 2009. Kjell will be joined in space by 2009 astronaut classmate Kimiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Kimiya is a graduate of the National Defense Academy of Japan and retired from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force as a lieutenant colonel. In 2012, he was stationed at the Aquarius underwater habitat for 11 days as part of the Nemo 16 crew. Commanding the Soyuz spacecraft that will launch Expedition 44 into low Earth orbit will be cosmonaut Oleg Kononenko. The veteran space flyer has visited the International Space Station twice and has spent more than a year of his life aboard. Oleg has 3 spacewalks to his credit and served as the commander of Expedition 31. Kjell, Kimiya, and Oleg will launch to the space station from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on May 26th.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here at the Johnson Space Center. We're honored today to have the crew joining us here. Kjell, Oleg, and Kimiya, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
We know it's an exciting time. We're just about 2 months out for your launch and the first mission for, at least for Kjell and Kimiya. Can you tell us a little bit about the mood amongst you guys as a crew and some of the final training you have in the U.S. before you depart?
Well, we're very excited, and it's always great when we're all in the same country and get to train together. But we're ready to fly. We had to be basically certified and ready to fly back in November when we served as the backup crew to Terry and Samantha and Anton. And so we had most of our training and certifications done at that time. So in the past 4 or 5 months, we've kind of been doing some last-minute training and working on payloads.
And Oleg and Kimiya, do you guys feel like the pace is starting to pick up, though, now that the launch date is closing in?
Yeah. Feel really excited. Yeah, Kjell and I were selected astronaut candidate in 2009, and since then we trained for 6 years together.
So you're really ready to go.
Yeah, born ready.
Great. And Kjell, you have kind of a unique background being a doctor and even a previous NASA flight surgeon. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us your perspective now going into a mission where you're going to be not only a test subject yourself, but even a scientist?
You bet. Well, I've been interested in spaceflight and the effect of microgravity on the human body really since undergrad. I did my senior thesis on orthostatic intolerance, which is basically how microgravity affects part of how microgravity affects the cardiovascular system. And so having studied that in graduate school and undergrad and then working with the crew as a flight surgeon, this is going to be a really unique opportunity to experience it firsthand and see what it feels like to work and live in space. And so that's very exciting to be at this point.
We're excited for you. And we have a lot of folks who are excited for you as well. So we have a lot of special guests with us today. We have some residents from the University of Texas Medical Branch and also some students from the DeBakey High School. So with that, we're going to start with questions here from the Johnson Space Center, and we'll start with media first. So if you can raise your hand and state your name and affiliation when selected. We'll start over here with Mark.
Thank you, Mark Carone for Aviation Week. And I have a question for Dr. Lindgren. Could you explain the sorts of activities you're expecting to do that's part of the reconfiguration of the U.S. part of the space station?
Absolutely. This is a very exciting time in the space station program where we're preparing the station to receive our commercial crew partners' vehicles. And so for our particular expedition right now, we have scheduled a SpaceX Dragon coming up that will bring up the first international docking adapter. And this is scheduled for around June, July timeframe. And Scott Kelly and I will be doing an EVA to install that on the forward portion of Node 2. And so that's very exciting, and that will set off kind of a whole stream of reconfiguration where we'll bring up another IDA, another docking adapter later in the year. In addition, we're reconfiguring some of the other ports, and so we'll be moving the PMM, one of our logistics modules, away from the bottom part of the station to forward Node 3, and then also doing a lot of reconfiguration inside the space station, rotating racks out of the way to lay down power and data lines to meet the needs of those new adapters and new equipment.
Michael Galindo, America Space. Will you be performing all three EVAs with Kelly, or will it just be you?
Sure. Well, what we know right now is, of course, everything can change. It really depends on the schedule, what the operational requirements are at the time. What we have scheduled right now is this first EVA in the June-July timeframe to install the international docking adapter, the first international docking adapter. We have 2 more EVAs that are kind of on the schedule right now, out towards the end of of our expeditions, and hopefully those will stay within our increment, because that might represent an opportunity for Kimia and I to do a spacewalk together. But again, it really kind of depends on vehicle traffic at the time and what our science needs are at that time as well.
Go ahead, Robert.
Hi, Robert Prelaunch with ClubSpace.com. With regards to the relocation of the modules and just the normal traffic of visiting vehicles, what's expected to be the impact on science and the amount of time that you'll be able to devote as a crew to the science load on the station?
Absolutely. Well, the International Space Station, as you know, is a national laboratory, and it was created to conduct science and research in orbit. And so that's our number one priority. We have this reorganization of modules that's scheduled to occur. And we have a whole planning division, that's working with the knowledge that we're going to be rotating racks and doing other things that can impact science. So we're going to try and mitigate and reduce the impact of reconfiguration on science as much as possible, so that we continue to meet the needs of all the scientists and researchers that are counting on us to do their science.
Okay.
Jim Oberg with NBC. For Mr. Kononenko, since you're the veteran, what kind of advice have you been giving your 2 rookies to make it less hard for them to adapt to space? What sort of advice that you could share with us?
Ну, мне их сложно назвать новичками. Они достаточно опытные, грамотные, очень образованные астронавты. Единственное, что я могу поделиться опытом, это такого рода, как первое вхождение в невесомость. И, конечно, мы на Байконуре поговорим об этом более детально. Ну и когда мы будем возвращаться, потому что я уже возвращался дважды, то, конечно, мы поговорим о том, как лучше это сделать, вернуться, как более лучше приспособить свое тело к возврату, потренировать.
Well, it's hard to call them rookies because they are very experienced and educated astronauts. But I can share with them some experience about entering microgravity for the first time. And of course, we will be talking about that in more detail at Baikonur. And also, since I have returned twice before, I will be sharing some experience on how to best get used to living back on Earth with the full gravity of the Earth.
Okay. And another question at the end?
Yeah, thank you, Ray, with KUHF Radio here in Houston. A couple of you have lots of hours in space, but you're joining the 1-year crew up there. How will your missions overlap, or will they?
Well, absolutely, they'll overlap. So Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko and Gennady Padalka are preparing to launch here in a few days from Baikonur Cosmodrome. And they'll have been up there for about 2 months when we arrive. And we'll have the opportunity to spend our full 6-month mission with Scott and Mikhail. And so we will have the opportunity to watch them for the first part of this 1-year mission and maybe help with some of the research that they're doing. But this is a really exciting time. This is something that is, from an operational perspective and from a research perspective, is preparing us for long-duration missions to our ultimate goal of getting to Mars. And so it's really exciting to be a part of that.
Okay, we're going to go ahead.
My name is Tatsuo Nakajima from the Japanese newspaper, the Yomiuri. I have a question for Japanese astronaut Yui Kimiya-san. This is your first flight to space, so what do you want to do in the space, and what is the most important work in your flight?
Okay, there are a lot of important things, but first of all, I'd like to try as much as possible, as many challenges as possible. So if I have a new opportunity to try something, I'm gonna raise my hand and try. So, and one of the most probably significant maybe event is there are some possibility that HTV gonna be launched during our mission. So hopefully I can get deeply involved. Hopefully I can grapple that HTV. And of course, in that HTV vehicle, we have a lot of important payloads related to the JAXA experiments. So I want to prepare for that, and I want to work hard to lead that experiment to be successful. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're going to switch now to social media for a couple questions. And just a reminder for our viewers, we are monitoring social media and taking questions, so use the hashtag AskNASA. And we'll switch it over to Megan for some of those questions coming in.
All right, we have one from Twitter, from Explorer. What favorite foods have each of you asked for?
You want to start?
Yeah. I'd like to, my favorite food is actually Japanese space food, is like a curry with rice. So I'm really looking forward to eat that actually. And I would like to share with my crew members and try some of them, yeah.
My favorite space food is also curry with rice, so he's going to have to protect his food storage. You know, it's very interesting because we have the opportunity to try food down here, both from the U.S. food lab, and then also when we're in Russia, we have the opportunity to try items from the Russian menu. And it's all really, I mean, I think I picked out maybe 3 or 4 things that I didn't really care for, but for the most part, it was all really good. I think our tastes, depending on who you talk to, our tastes change a little bit when we get in space. And then also, when you have a repeating menu, as good as things taste, when you have a repeating menu, I think maybe sometimes things might get a little bit old. But I've been told that the barbecue brisket is really good, so I put that on in my bonus container, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this all works in space.
Ну, что касается меня, то вот космонавты, астронавты, мы, конечно, в этом плане уникальны, потому что у нас тренировки абсолютно в разных частях мира, и поэтому мы привыкли есть, скажем так, пищу везде, в любом уголке земного шара. Поэтому на станции вот достаточно уникальное сочетание меню, потому что это меню включает в себя меню различных стран. Это очень здорово, и ты к этому не сильно привыкаешь, это делает разнообразным твое меню на станции. Ну а так, у меня есть предпочтение и в американском, я очень люблю лепешки, тортилла с мясом барбекю. Есть, я люблю очень японский рис. Я много доедал во второй экспедиции после Сатоши. Ну и, конечно же, и российская часть. Творог с орехами, любимое блюдо многих космонавтов.
The interesting thing is that cosmonauts and astronauts, we have a very unique experience. When we train, we travel all over the world, and we get to eat different foods from all over the world. And as a result, the menu on station is also very unique and very international. So I never get bored trying different foods when on station. But as for me personally, I do like the tortillas with meat, the barbecue. I also like the Japanese rice. I actually ended up eating a lot of it after Satoshi during the previous expedition. And of course, the Russian favorite is the cotton cheese with nuts.
I think we should have a food tasting at our next briefing.
That sounds like a good idea.
The more I hear about this, it's awesome. Good. Okay, and another question from social media?
Yes, also from Twitter, Yazzie, for Astro Chell, what do you expect to see on your first mission to the space station?
Wow. Well, what I'm really looking forward to seeing is the Earth. Being able to just go to the cupola and to look down at the Earth, always changing, all the beautiful colors. And you know, talking with some of my friends that have flown already and have sent down amazing pictures. You know, the thing that they will say is that the pictures don't even do the Earth justice. The colors are so vibrant and so beautiful. And so that's something I'm really looking forward to. And then just seeing the space station in space. And exploring, what's going to be our new home, a new place of work for the following 6 months. And so we spent a lot of time in the simulator in Building 9 here at the Space Center, a lot of time in the simulators out in Russia and in Europe and in Japan, and to see what it's really like. I think it's going to feel very familiar, and it'll quickly feel like kind of our home in space.
Okay.
But we'll be floating. You're right.
And I think the same question could be posed for Kimia. Is there something in particular that you're looking forward to seeing on your first mission?
Yeah, same as actually Chell. I'm really looking forward to see the Earth actually from the space. And right now I'm learning how to take a good picture. So I would like to take a picture and maybe tweet. Yeah, and share my experience to all the people all over the world. Yeah, that's my goal.
We'll all look forward to following along for those.
Yeah.
We're now going to take questions from the phone bridge. Phone bridge participants, please press asterisk number 1 if you have a question, and please press star number 2 to withdraw your question if it's already been answered. So we will start with Marianne Kramer with space.com.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my question. This is for anyone that would like to answer it. And I'm just curious, will all of you be using social media while you're up there sending down pictures via Twitter? Yeah, thank you.
That was for all of you?
Yes.
All of us?
All of you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So I think I was really excited to follow my colleagues that were sending messages and notes down from space. And so I want to share in that also. I think the social media has really proven to be great for sharing the experience of space. People don't have to necessarily go to the NASA website or the photo of the day to see pictures that are coming down, but kind of unfolding real time as the crew are going through their day, sharing their thoughts, sharing pictures that they're seeing, sharing pictures of different parts of the world as people are experiencing weather or things in those parts of the world. I think really kind of creates a bridge to the space station, and so I think that being active as much as possible, while of course focusing on the mission that we have up there, the science and the research and the work that we have to do up there, I think being active on social media is very exciting.
Yeah, for me as well. Actually, I'm a big tweeter, so every day I'm tweeting, and I'm really looking forward to read their, like a message as well. So if you have maybe like some requests to me, maybe I can read, and if I have a time, of course, mission is #1 priority. But if I have a time, and I'm gonna follow your request. So I'm really looking forward to talking and chatting. Exchanging the message with you guys, actually, everybody.
Ну, я в жизни, конечно, не так активно пользуюсь социальными сетями, потому что они реально забирают очень много времени. Но у нас в Роскосмосе существует специальная служба, которая осуществляет связь между мной и людьми из России. Они готовят целый пакет вопросов от детей, от студентов. Это присылается мне на борт, и я с большим желанием отвечаю на такие вопросы и отсылаю фотографии. Но в социальных сетях я стараюсь меньше присутствовать.
Well, unlike my colleagues, I'm not as active in social media because it actually takes up a lot of time. But at Roscosmos, we have a special service that prepares a full packet for me of questions from students and from children. And I read these questions with a lot of interest, and I always answer the questions and also send down pictures. So that's the way I'm involved with everyone, but I don't spend so much time on social media myself.
And Miriam, did you have a follow-up? Okay.
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll return here to the room here at Johnson Space Center, and we will turn it over to the students. So we'll start with the UTMB visitors and residents, if anybody has a special question. Okay, go ahead.
Over a 6-month period, you're going to have a lot of science that you're doing. This is for all three. Is there 1 or 2 science projects in particular that you're excited about?
Yeah. So for me, I became an astronaut because when I was a little boy, I was really interested in astronomy. So right now still I have a great interest in astronomy. And we are going to have one payload, JAXA payload, that is observed like a high energy electron, gamma ray. So we are hoping that that kind of like experiments can contribute to find dark matter. So yeah, I'm really excited to see the result of that payload. Yeah.
Ну, сложно выделить, экспериментов очень много, сложно выделить, какие любимые, какие нелюбимые. Я все эксперименты буду делать с большой охотой, с большим желанием. На российском сегменте у нас все эксперименты выполняются по 6 научным направлениям. Это и изучение материалов, изучение человека, изучение Земли из космоса. Меня больше, конечно, привлекают выполнение технических экспериментов. Например, я буду делать плазменный эксперимент, плазменный кристалл. Эксперимент это совместный эксперимент российских ученых и европейских, изучение физических явлений плазмы в условиях при различных давлениях инертного газа, в условиях микрогравитации. И мне интересны эксперименты, связанные с изучением моей профессиональной деятельности в течение полета. Например, на разных этапах длительного космического полета я выполняю различные сложности и операторские задачи. Управляю космическим аппаратом, сажусь в атмосфере, управляю какими-то роботами, которые находятся на планете. Ну, такого рода задачи мне интересны, они и будут.
Well, there's a lot of interesting things. I can't say that I have one favorite or one less favorite science project. I actually enjoy all of them, and I'll be doing a lot of them gladly. On the Russian segment, there are several directions that we take. We study different materials, we study how humans behave in space, and we study the Earth. Personally, I'm more interested in the technical aspects. For example, there was an experiment called the plasma crystal. It's a joint experiment for the Russians and the Europeans, and it studies the physical behaviors of plasma under different kinds of pressure, when inert gas is applied to it, and all of this in microgravity. Also, there will be experiments done on me as an operator in a long-duration flight. So I'll be doing different tasks. For example, landing devices I'll be doing with robotics, and all of that will be studied, and that is something that is very interesting to me.
And so, I mean, this is a great question because it really speaks to the purpose of the space station, that is to be conducting experiments in science in space. It's a unique platform because, of course, it's a national laboratory, and not just because we have the opportunity to do science in weightlessness, but because it's a multidisciplinary national laboratory. We're not just focusing on life sciences. We have the opportunity to do physical sciences like combustion and studies looking at fluid dynamics, surface wetting, use of colloids, material science. So we have some amazing capabilities up there, and we say that we're working off the Earth for the Earth. So we have the opportunity to not only investigate ways to maintain our capabilities in space and our abilities to go on in the future and do deep space exploration, going to Mars, and to support the human in these deep space explorations. But what we're doing on the space station also has direct benefit for the Earth and for humanity on the Earth. A lot of the science that we're doing is looking at how the human body changes in weightlessness. And so muscle atrophy or muscle wasting, osteoporosis, immune dysfunction. And all of these things, of course, affect us in space, but may have real impact for patients that suffer from these problems on the Earth as well. With my background in medicine, of course, I tend to have a lot of affinity for the life science type research, and so I'm particularly interested in some of the things that are affecting us right now. Visual changes that we're seeing as a result of long duration space flight is one topic of interest, and I'm also interested in some of the other things that we're doing along with bone loss and muscle atrophy.
Thank you. Great question. Do we have any others from the UTMB visitors? Go ahead, I can see.
Question for Chell. So as a former flight surgeon, you played a role in directly supporting crew members, and there have been a handful of physicians who made the transition to becoming a crew member themselves. What would you say has been the biggest challenge for you personally in making that transition?
Biggest challenge. For me, I think that the biggest challenge has been trying to maintain my fluency in the medical arena, kind of keeping up to date with the changes that are happening in space medicine and medicine in general while training for this mission. So there's a lot. Our schedules get very busy and are busier the closer we get to launch. And so I think trying to maintain my I guess fluency is the best way to say it of what we're doing in space medicine, so that I can be a resource on the space station if there are any issues to my crewmates. The nice thing about working in low Earth orbit is that we have an amazing ground team that is supporting us, and that team includes the flight surgeons and space medicine group who will be able to support us if we have any issues.
Okay, we're going to switch quickly now to some of our other special visitors. These are high school students from the DeBakey High School for Health Professions. So I think we have some questions from those students. Can you raise your hand if you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, this is for all of you guys. I was wondering what sort of mental preparation do you guys incorporate into preparing for this mission?
Do you want to start? Okay. Mental preparation. Well, I think part of that really just speaks to the training that we get. We've spent 2.5 years, Kimia and I, going through astronaut candidate training. And then for this mission in particular, another 2.5 years of mission-specific training. And so we spend a lot of time training for emergencies that might happen on the space station. A lot of time on the different payloads, the different systems. Spent a ton of time in the pool training for spacewalks. And so that repetition and that study has really prepared us, I think, for the things that we're going to need to do while we're in space. And with that training comes the confidence that we're going to be able to do what we need to do. And so I think that repetition and that confidence really prepare us mentally for what's coming up. And as things start to speed up, feel like time is compressing here in the last couple of months of training, personally I've tried to spend a little bit of time, just quiet time, just thinking about this opportunity that's coming, not to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of preparation, but to really think, reflect a little bit about this amazing opportunity that we're about to embark on.
So for me, when I was assigned, I know that my ability to go space is not enough. And also I had to learn English and also Russian. And initially I worried about a little bit, but I just analyzed, why I'm worried about this mission. So I just, when I analyzed, I realized that, maybe this capability is not enough. So there's a gap, requirement, and also this is my ability. So I just analyze this like a gap and try work hard to keep my ability to going up. That's kind of like a training and repetition. So I did continuously, actually that's 6 years, I continuously did that. And I think right now I met this kind of like a requirement. So that became my like a confident. So I think like for the mental, maybe you have to worry. That worry is kind of natural for the people to have, but you have to like analyze what is not meeting your requirement. That's kind of like assessment, and also work hard. That helps us to prepare your like challenges, I think. Yeah.
Good question. Any others from the students? Okay, go ahead.
This is a question for all three of you too. For your free time, if you have any, what do you plan to do with it?
It's a good question if we have any free time. It's a great question. And speaking to the free time, this is a 6-month mission. This is where we're not only going to be working, but it's where we're going to be living as well. And so the schedule, well, our long experience on the space station, the experience that our colleagues have on the Russian space stations, and our experience from Skylab back in the 70s, really taught us that there has to be time for work and a time for relaxation. 6 months is a long time, and so we need to be able to take time to kind of rejuvenate both mentally and physically. And so for myself, I think I'll be spending a lot of time looking out the window, looking back at the Earth and taking pictures and sharing the experience. We have the ability to watch some movies and television shows, especially while we're exercising, and just taking time to gather as a crew and talk about what's going on in the space station and talk about our experiences.
Я бы добавил только к словам Чела, что свободное время мы еще будем использовать для того, чтобы больше общаться с семьей.
The only thing that I would add to what Jill has said is that in the free time, we would spend that time to talk and to communicate with our families.
For me, as I mentioned before, maybe I would like to take a lot of pictures, and I'm actually a big tweeter, so probably I'm gonna write some like a message and send these pictures to people. Yeah, probably I will enjoy such kind of time. Probably, yeah.
Okay, and speaking of social media, we'll go back now to see if there's any additional questions from Twitter. Megan?
All right, we have one from Blake Byram on the International Space Station Facebook page. What was the easiest and hardest part of training?
Wow, the easiest and hardest part of training. It's hard to think of the easiest part of training.
This?
Yeah, that's right. The hardest part of training. For myself, I think that the travel and the time away from family is probably the hardest. So over the course of about 2.5 years of training for this mission, we spend maybe 40% of our time out of the country. And the most of that is spent training with our partners in Russia. And so it's funny because now when I think about a 3-week trip somewhere for training, that doesn't seem very long to me. But when I'm telling family or friends about it, they're like, oh, I can't believe 3 weeks away. And, so that's difficult, but my wife and kids are incredibly supportive of this adventure and very excited. And so it's been fun sharing the experiences along the way. And we've developed strategies to spend time together. And so, technology is amazing. We're able to call from wherever we are to talk with the family and use kind of teleconferencing software. So just about every day, the kids have to see my face. So.
Okay. So for me, one of the most difficult training was like English and Russian, maybe, and learning Russian by using English. Yeah. That was really hard. So every training was really hard. So, but that was really enjoyable. EVA training, that was also hard. But when I have challenge, yeah, when I overcame, yeah, I feel like I've grown. I became a better person. So that was really great pleasure, actually. And one of the easiest, maybe it's really hard to say, but when I go back to Japan and I took some keyboard training, that was in Japanese. Yeah, oh, so easy. No. Actually, that was difficult, but yeah, in Japanese, it's really easy for me.
I have to say, when I think about learning a language through another language, that is one of the most amazing things to me. If I had to learn Japanese through Russian, wow.
Oh, thank you for the understanding.
Oleg, anything more?
Ну, для меня, наверное, самая трудная часть – это время, потому что мне хотелось бы летать в космос как можно чаще, чем это возможно. Поэтому все-таки двухгодичная подготовка достаточно трудна и долго. А так, это любимая, интересная работа, поэтому, опять же, Шкиме правильно сказал, что когда ты выполняешь что-то, ты сам растешь, сам во многом начинаешь понимать и разбираться. Это достаточно приятная часть.
Well, for me, the hardest is the time. I would like to fly more often. A 2-year preparation period is actually a very long time to wait. I love this job, and I wish I could spend more time in space But the truth is that learning and growing go hand in hand, and when you understand something, you feel good about it and better about yourself. So that's always a plus.
Okay, we're going to switch back now to some questions here at Johnson Space Center. Robert?
Today happens to be the 50th anniversary of the first spacewalk, and so Oleg, as the experienced spacewalker on the crew, I wonder if you could talk about the importance of spacewalks to the space station and to its existence, and then maybe for the two of you, that what it's like to now approach your first EVA. And I believe, Chell, you're going to be going out first around the time of the first American spacewalk. If you have any plans to mark that actually while you're out on the spacewalk. Sure.
Ну, выход в открытый космос – это тоже продолжение работы, что и внутри станции. Установка нового научного оборудования, продолжение исследований, возможен ремонт, так как вот мы с Сергеем Волковым выходили, мы выполняли ремонт своего космического корабля. Но по эмоциям, и это, конечно, самая такая эмоциональная работа, потому что одно дело видеть Землю из иллюминатора, и совершенно другое, когда ты видишь Землю, не ограничиваясь только рамками иллюминатора. Абсолютно, совершенно разные впечатления. И я, например, вот когда первый раз увидел Землю, выйдя в открытый космос, то первое впечатление было, что Земля не такая уж и маленькая. И второе яркое впечатление от того, что атмосфера, которая окружает Землю, очень, в сравнении с размерами Земли, очень тонкая. Вот, поэтому выход в космос – это и сложно, и опасно, и трудно, но и огромное впечатление получаешь от этого.
Well, spacewalking is just a continuation of the work that we do inside the station. Sometimes we have to install additional equipment. Sometimes we do a spacewalk to continue research. Or, for example, I had to do one to repair one of our flight vehicles. It is also a very emotional experience because seeing the Earth through the window is completely different than seeing the Earth directly from outside of the station. The first thing that I noticed about Earth when I was outside was how large it is. And the second thing is that the atmosphere around the world, as compared to the size of the Earth itself, is actually very thin. So yes, a spacewalk is very dangerous, it is very intense, but it also is a very pleasurable activity.
So,
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so just to kind of follow up on that, you know, I think we talk about spacewalking very casually, and even kind of the term spacewalking makes it sound very easy. And I think that NASA, the success that NASA and the Russian Space Agency have had with spacewalks, make it look easy. And you know, the environment is incredibly unforgiving, and every time we go out the door, we're essentially going out there in a mini spacecraft. So it's really a testament to the capability and the preparation that we're now at this time where we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Alexei Leonov's spacewalk, and then in a few short months celebrating the first U.S. spacewalk for Ed White, the second on June 3rd. And so we're very excited to be a part of that, excited to have a spacewalk as a part of our expedition. And of course we'll be celebrating the U.S. anniversary in that time frame. I don't have any plans right now to do anything special on the spacewalk, but that might change. But spacewalking in general has been, you know, a critical component to the construction of the International Space Station. I think we've done 264 spacewalks total, and 184 of those have been in support of the space station construction. And it remains a critical part of our ability to stay in space, to conduct repairs outside, to move equipment around and conduct experiments. And it will remain an important operational capability for deep space exploration and going on to Mars. And right now we're in the process, for the first time since the 80s, of looking at new prototype spacesuits that will support that future goal.
Okay. Additional questions? Go ahead.
This is Nakajima from the media again. My question for Kimiya-san.
Yes.
In previous interview, you said the U.S. famous movie, The Right Stuff,
Yes, yes.
is one of the reasons you decided to go to the space.
Yes.
And your wife also impressed by the movie, and she recommended you to apply to be an astronaut.
Yes.
So could you give me a little bit more information about the episode? When and where and why did you watch the movie? And why did your wife help you to be an astronaut?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, a little bit complicated, so make it that story a little bit shorter. Yeah. So when first time I saw that movie was when I became a pilot actually in training in here, United States. That was around like when I was 24 years old. Yeah. And at that time, used to be I wanted to become a like astronaut, but right now at that time I chose to become a military pilot. So actually, it kind of like abandoned my dream. But when I saw that movie, there is maybe a path, or if I became a military test pilot, maybe I can become like a Japanese astronaut. Yeah. At that time, we didn't have such kind of like a career path, but I just thought about that. And I told this story to my wife, and actually I forced her to see that movie again and again. So she was remember that kind of story. Then, like JAXA announced that JAXA is looking for new astronauts. She found that information. I was so busy I couldn't find that information, but my wife remembered that story. So yeah, she recommended me to become an astronaut. You should apply. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you, wife.
Yeah. I'm sure that for her, seeing that same movie again and again, that's kind of like a painful, but yeah, for me, it worked out. Thank you.
Okay, next question, go ahead.
Yoshimura for Kyodo News. This is a question for all of you, each. Could you share your image of the other crews? What kind of person the other crews are in brief words? Thank you.
Well, I feel so blessed to have gotten assigned to this particular expedition, to fly with Kimiya and Oleg. So Kimiya and I, like we've said before, Kimiya and I were both selected and trained as a part of the 2009 class. And for some reason or another, much of our astronaut candidate training, we found ourselves in the same group. And so honestly, we've really kind of been training together on and off for the past 6 years. And so he is the hardest working person I know. And so I know that when we are in space, that he is going to be working incredibly hard to make sure that our mission is successful and that we get things done. And then to get to fly with Oleg, I feel like we all have the same priorities, that we have a very similar outlook on life. Oleg is an incredible leader, and so I feel, again, very blessed that he is our Soyuz commander, and will be there for the 6 months that we're up there. So he'll be a resource for bouncing ideas and thoughts off of for living and working in space. And the fact that he's been on 2 missions, that he's conducted several spacewalks, just make him an amazing resource for us, both during training and future during our flight.
Тело и Кимия, как я уже говорил, очень любознательные люди, очень образованные, спокойные, и во многом наши взгляды на жизнь, на мир, они совпадают, и они с юмором смотрят на этот мир, юмор нам очень помогает в наших тренировках. Поэтому я с очень хорошим предчувствием ожидаю наш совместный космический полет.
Well, like I said before, Kimi and Jel, they're very curious people, they're educated and calm, and I think in a lot of ways our views are similar. The way that we perceive Earth, the way that we perceive people. We have a similar sense of humor, which really helps us during training. So I'm looking forward to our flight together with a really good, positive feeling.
For me, yeah, also, I'm really lucky to have these two great crew. Yeah, and Chao, we worked together for 6 years, and I know he's multiple talent. Yeah, of course, he has a great knowledge for the as a doctor, and also he has a talent for the entertaining someone. Actually, I know that. I cannot tell in the detail, but yeah, that's true. And he have a great idea for designing something. Yeah, for the poster. Yeah, he has a great idea. So I really respect you. Yeah, and I'm really happy to working with you. Yeah, and really helpful, kind. Thank you. And of course, Oleg, he's a great commander, a lot of experience, and he's like he's always saying like really. Based on his knowledge, he's good Soviet at Russian. Yeah, like yeah. That he has a really great leadership. And right now, I remember the Russian word, but I couldn't remember the English word. So I'm sorry. So yeah, so he has a really great knowledge and leadership. I'm really happy to working with you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, I can't think of a better way to wrap up this briefing. Thanks so much for sharing so much. I think we all feel like we know you a little bit more, and we all wish you well on the upcoming mission. For those who were following on social media, if we didn't get to your question, Chell will be taking questions later this afternoon, so you can continue to send those in using hashtag #AskNASA. Otherwise, you can follow along with their mission preparations on social media, as mentioned, and our NASA website at www.nasa.gov/station. So with that, thank you, gentlemen, again, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.